Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:36. If I can have a roll call, please.
April, do you want to take the roll call, please?
Okay. Yeah, you know what? It must be 35. I guess that's all it can take. 35? Uh-huh. That's all right. That's fine. Just like it is.
And if everyone can mute, that would be great. April, would you like me to do the roll call?
Yeah, April, are you still with us?
Okay, she will call in.
Let me call. That's not a good sign. Hey, are you okay? Okay, all right, good, good. I got worried there for a second. All right, you're welcome. Bye. Okay. All right, she's having connection issues. She's going to call in a moment. Apologize for that, Chairwoman.
Oh, no problem at all.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I apologize for the delay. Mr. Ambarenson?
Yeah.
Ms. Ford?
She is here, but she's via phone.
Okay. Ms. Francois?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
And Chairwoman DeVoe?
Here. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 231 New Jersey Public Law of 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the giving of notice to the Courier News, posting the agenda in the public lobby of this building 48 hours prior to the meeting, delivery of this notice to the Franklin Township clerk at least 48 hours prior to this meeting, and mailing notice to those persons properly requesting to be mailed notifications of meetings at least 48 hours prior to this meeting. With that, do I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
So moved.
The only person of the public is the Franklin Reporter and Advocate.com, conveniently located in Franklin Township.
Okay. Can I confirm that that was Commissioner Francois and Commissioner Ambarenson for the open?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Seeing that there are none, do I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments?
Motion to close the meeting for public comment. Francois.
Second. Ram.
Motion made by Francois, seconded by Barrettson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of minutes. The working session monthly board meeting minutes for April 5th of 2022. Do I have a motion to move?
So moved. Ford.
Do I have a second?
Second, Ram.
All those in roll call, please.
Mr. Van Barrenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois,
Abstain, I wasn't there.
okay, and Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Abstain. Moving on to the executive closed session meeting minutes for April 5th of 2022. Do I have a motion to move in a second?
Motion Ford.
Second, Ram.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Van Barrenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois,
Abstain.
Mr. Schmidt,
Abstain.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Abstain. Moving on to executive summary and professional reports.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Okay, the Marcy Street project is going nicely. It's on schedule, within budget. What's remarkable to report on this project is that there were two issues, both of them involving American Water. As you recall, American Water did work over 10 years ago in that neighborhood, and they did a really poor job with respects to the curbs and the sidewalks, and they left it in a damaged condition and got worse over time through the years. Coincidentally, the Sewage Authority has a project going in that neighborhood, and we're tearing stuff up, but we're also repairing it and doing it properly. But the footprint of our work is not as wide as the footprint of the American Water damage. I thought of it last year that, hey, while we're out there working, we should fix their damage as well, and then ask them to pay for that extra amount of time. So we have recently defined the extra damage and associated costs, and we will be asking the American Water to pay for that. I'm sure they'll make us some sort of offer. The other issue involving American Water is really not our problem, but our contractor ran into such difficulties when they asked the American Water to locate their lines underground. And when GeoMed began to dig, very few markings were correct. So they had to slow down their work, do a lot of the digging manually, and it cost them, in their estimation, like $250,000. And they may have to litigate to get that damages back. The High Bay Garage, we went back and forth. As you know, we doubled the size of that project. It made more sense for the long term of the authority. Thus, the cost doubled. Through Blue Scope, we're going to do that project in 2 phases. Each phase will be done within a separate budget cycle. Howard, can you report on where we are with the Blue Scope? I saw while I was on vacation, you sent in documents for me.
Right, we've just started to review that. Now it does look like they've made some modifications to the standard form of agreement from the DBIA. So I haven't gone through all of those changes, but I think
Howard, you're using a lot of letters there. What does DBIA stand for?
Design Build Institute of America.
All right, don't get all up.
And sorry, thank you. To put me in my place. So what we're going to do is once I get through all the changes so that I'm familiar with them, I will forward them to council. We can go through them together and then we can report back to you. I do think there's a possibility that the authority would be ready to sign this agreement or sign a modified agreement or revised agreement sometime between now and the next board meeting. So one of the items that we should discuss is if you can have the authority or if the commissioners are willing to permit you to sign it in the interim, basically, between now and the next meeting.
Howard, am I correct? Did I see a final proposal from Blue Scope being sent to us? That came in Sunday night, I think.
That's this document that I was only really able to just start reviewing. This is the proposal for phase 1.
Okay, very good. All right, so just so the board knows, that will be, phase 1 will be in this next coming budget cycle. Phase 2 will be in the follow. No, actually, how did we want to do?
I don't think you're going to have to cut a check of any sort, any amount of money between now and June. So I think majority of the costs will fall under the coming budget cycle.
Right. So phase 1 will be the budget cycle that starts this coming June, and phase 2 will be the following June and thereafter. And we did that based upon the advice and review of our financial advisor. I was feeling a little sketchy with the finances and that whole lump sum coming in. So I asked a professional to come look at our finances, our financial revenue forecast, and our current cash position, and our appropriation schedule for this year and the next year. Which as I told a few of you, I called you individually, let you know is we're probably going to have to make some adjustments in our rates coming up, and I'll give a formal presentation for that at the time. Okay, Brookline Sewer Rehab area project. I'm sorry, if no one has any questions of that, I'm going to just move forward. If I need to step back, let me know. Brookline Sewer Rehab area is going well. Again, the big delay in that has been DEP and the iBank. We can only go as fast as they'll allow us, and they are extremely painfully slow. The Wesson Canal pump station rebuild and relocation. PSC&G has recently made a major change in our understanding on how things will unfold with them, and that is relative to them wanting to commingle a project of theirs with ours, and that was building of a parking lot right behind the footprint of the land we want them to sell us or give us. They have recently withdrawn that. I asked for a status update. William, you did send me an email tonight. I did not read it. Do you want to give us, as long as it's not sensitive information or confidential information, a general update you could give us from PSC&G perspective?
No, I mean, nothing really, but we contacted PSC&G at your direction to schedule another meeting to move forward with easement acquisition. And in the meantime, we're working on finalizing the footprint of the pump station.
Okay. Let's see, the roofs have been completed. The roofs in the authority building and campus have all been completed. The Brookline vacant lot acquisition. I believe that's been completed. There might be some documents. April, have we completed all the signatures on all those documents?
Was that the one for the easement?
No, not the easement, the land acquisition. That happened right before, the day I was leaving, the money transfer.
I believe so.
Okay, Brian,
Yes,
you guys handled that.
yes. The closing went forward the day after you had left after the last meeting. I don't believe that there are any other outstanding issues. The money was wire transferred, and it's just a matter of recording the deed at this point.
Okay, all right, and then once we record the deed, that's it?
Yes.
Then we could put up the Joe Danielson commemorative meditation park sign.
Yeah, if you so wish, Executive Director. But yeah, I will follow up with Phil Laporta tomorrow to make sure there are no other loose ends, and I will let you know if there are any issues.
All right, I just want everyone to know that everyone deserves to reach their Zen. All right, Chairwoman, I think that's it for all the projects to report. If no one has any questions, I'll move on to the professionals report.
Thank you, Joe. Does anyone have any questions? No, you can move on.
Okay, thank you, Chairwoman. Okay, under revenue, for the month of April, we received and sent to the bank $858,647.21. Year-to-date collected, which is on track for our schedule, $13,498,296.85. We do have an open non-metered balance due of $7,465,147.57. Penalties for the month of March. I'm sorry. Yes, the month of March. You have to excuse me. Some of these reports are backdate. The 1 month late is $9,225.16. These were unposted late fees due to the state's moratorium, which has now expired. So the next month you'll see us posting penalties. But these are penalties that are statutorily forgiven. Under expenditures for the month ending March 31st is $362,356.15. Year to date is $9,235,075.63. We spent 78% of our budgeted appropriations, and we are at 83% point a year. So we're doing pretty good. We're behind in our spending and ahead in our revenues, and we love when we're like that. Our cash position under unrestricted is $1,428,090.38. Under restricted is $14,400,921.37. And under designated is $4,673,089.84. Our total cash position as of March 31st, 2022 is $20,502,101.59. Okay, under discussions, budget address. The process is still underway. It was a little slow. We had a lot of financial balls in the air. I just recently received from our financial advisor our cash flow analysis and tools to build the budget, which is technically now late, but the draft will be ready to present next month to the board. Audit. Our 2021 audit is now complete. Yay! That audit has rated us quite well. We're doing a fantastic job. I'd like to thank the auditor and, of course, April for doing all that work. There are documents that need to be signed by various parties. April, where are we with signatures from board members, attorney, and et cetera?
That's the packet that we got email on today for the, what do you call it? For the closing?
No, I'm talking
Right.
about the audit. Like the attorney has to sign the audit, board members have to sign the audit. Am I correct?
I don't think so. I think there was just one document to sign with the synopsis, and I left it for you in your in bin.
All right, very good. And as you know, board members, last month, Moody's did a rating call to assess the authority's financial status. And we have a AA2 rating. That's a uppercase A, lowercase a, 2 rating. That's fantastic. That even though that's not the top rating, that really is our ceiling. So we are doing very well financially. Land acquisition has been completed. American Water, we discussed. Document archiving. Will, can you, my understanding is we are completed all the document archiving.
Yes, that's correct.
We don't have one more run to do, right? We're completed on that.
Correct.
Okay, if the board recalls, I set out a couple years ago to digitize much of our documents, and we have completed that. A long, healthy process, and now we have digital copies of very important documents that will serve us well in the future. Will, do you want to report on connections for the month and any TRC reviews?
Sure. In terms of connections, there were no new connections this month. Our goal for the fiscal year was 187 connections, expected by the end of May. We'll see if we get there. There are a few projects that are getting started with construction. And so we anticipate 17 Schoolhouse Road, for example, is getting started. That's 33 new units. Kevin Apuzio, 6 units. And so we'll have further update next month. In terms of the TRC, there are 6 current TRC applications that are being reviewed by CME on behalf of the authority related to sanitary sewage facilities. Projects consist of both new applications and approval compliance applications. 3 of 6 authority reports have been submitted to the TRC in the month of April. 3 reports are currently in progress.
Okay, and you submitted the Middlesex County Utilities Authority monthly report?
Correct. We're caught up to date on that.
Thank you. Under staffing strength, we are currently interviewing for the replacement of open positions. Unremarkable process, going well. Hopefully, I would like to schedule a meeting with the board's personnel subcommittee. So if you could, if you folks could please schedule that with me, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, under Southbound Brook. So I'm bringing Southbound Brook up. I report every month that I've sent out several invitations to the mayor to come into the authority's office, review the GIS map with us, so they understand what is flowing into their town. They understand where houses exist, but most importantly, that they could see what houses don't exist that could be built that would flow into their town. There's probably, give or take, about a dozen lots that could be built that could potentially connect to their system and flow into their town. As the most 15 lots, but certainly at least 8. I bring this up because there is a small local developer who owns and has been preparing to build on 2 particular lots that we are very aware of. We can't give them a will serve letter because we're bound by the agreement we've signed back in the 80s that basically requires us to get Southbound Brooks approval before we give our approval. And that has not happened. Southbound Brooks not in any position to approve any more connections. It doesn't really, it's not really detrimental to the authority, but it's certainly detrimental to the small developer that's in the area that's trying to do infill development. So we have someone, a disgruntled investor or builder right now that we're trying to work with. And I kind of empathize with them, their predicament, but I also don't want to violate an agreement we have with Southbound Brook at the same time. So I'm working with that. I'm doing the best I can. We tried for over a year with Eric Bernstein's office to prompt them to act upon this, and that was unsuccessful. I tried socially to prompt them, and I tried ultra socially. I don't know how you define ultra socially, but I tried. There you have it. Under the New Brunswick water sewer agreement.
Joe, excuse me. Could you just explain why what the Southbound Brooks issue is in this case?
Yeah, their issue, the latest definition of their issue is quite valid. They're concerned about how many potential units and flow can be added to their system. And they should be concerned. To them, it's an unknown number, right? When I was able to define that, what I did was I sat down with Christian, we looked at the map. The map tells you a certain portion of the story. So I sent that map to Franklin Township Zoning and Planning Office. I said, I would like to ask you guys to do a review of the undeveloped but developable lots in this very specific area. And they not only did a review, but they did a review twice for me. And they really defined what can be developed, what can't be developed. Within that developable area, not all of that can connect to our sewer system. So then that's where they did that second analysis. They further defined the developable area that can connect to us. And that's where they came up with the number 8 to 15 lots. Now we know all this, but there's a half dozen elected officials in Southbound Brook that don't know this, and they're not going to make a decision without knowing this, but they won't come here to get educated, so they do know. So they're not saying no, and they're not saying yes. They're just not doing anything, which we interpret as a no.
We can't, if we wanted this to get done, we can't just send them a letter explaining the issue to them, or has that already been done?
That's been done for a whole year.
Okay.
Eric and I have spoken directly to the attorney, which is Jerry Solomon, who works at Bob Smith's office. I've spoken to the mayor. I've had dinner with the mayor. Literally took the mayor out to dinner, and they're not prepared, not until the mayor and maybe 1 or 2 other council people come here, sit down. So their lack of action is a no, because we're required not to do anything until they approve it.
So they know that it's 8 to 15.
Verbally, it showed the facts.
Verbally, right. So do they have some kind of issue if they were told, okay, it's only going to be 8? Do you think they would be more inclined to sit down and say, okay, we can talk about this?
Maybe. I mean, I told them it would be 8 to 15.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, And for all I know is they can pick and choose which ones they say yes and which ones they say no. All we know is we can't serve any new connections until they approve the addition. It's very clear in that agreement that they have to approve every modification of that agreement. See, that agreement's not only agreement, but that agreement lists specific addresses in that agreement. So they only agreed to a list of addresses. So I can't add more addresses unless they agree to modify the agreement.
So is it
Or
because,
on the other hand, eliminate some of the addresses by amending the agreement.
Excuse me, sir?
Or it was 8 to 15. If it just said, if the agreement was amended to say 8, top at the most 8.
Yeah, we could do that. And frankly, from my perspective, I don't care if they add, subtract, or don't modify at all. I mean, as an authority, it doesn't help us or hurt us either way.
so Joe,
Okay.
can I ask a question? So they don't want us to add any more, connect any more new homes to their system? Is that the part of the issue?
Well, they're not approving anymore at this time until they feel comfortable.
I see.
You know, it's not like, you know, I don't care either way it goes. I just, as an authority, we need to serve the areas that we serve. This is one of those weird areas where we can't serve them without someone else's approval. You know, we have a similar agreement with New Brunswick, but New Brunswick, our agreement did not list and was not based upon a list of addresses, right? And nor did New Brunswick say you can't add to the system. So this agreement with Southbound Brook was done so poorly, but it's not hurting us either way.
Would a meeting with Councilman Francois and me move the ball a little bit at all with these people, or as a council representatives also in the serving the board, would we have any?
Or just go to Westbrook any day at 3:30 p.m. They're there. The Westbrook, Down Brook.
It sounds like they don't want to, they may not have the additional capacity to do this, and that's why they don't want to budge.
Well, one, they do have the capacity, and two, they wouldn't know if they had the capacity or not. They spend very little money on their sewer system in Southbound Brook. I think Scott would probably be best to opine on that, but you know, they're not doing a sewer capacity analysis study. Is that a correct summary, Scott?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, till current, they call us in to do various types of work for their sewer system, whether it's flushing and cleaning, CCTV inspection to identify, you know, trouble spots or whatever. Yeah, there's not too much involved, and you know, it's just, you know what it is I had a conversation with Joe earlier. It's a small developer that's built in Franklin Township for a number of years. Understand they're trying to build on a lot or 2 lots or something like that over there. It's just difficult because they're small properties and small lots. They're not going to be able to put a septic system because of the size of the property. So they would have to connect to city sewer. To connect to city sewer, they would connect to our pipe, which flows through the town of Southbound Brook. So kind of like in a little sketchy situation here. But if Southbound Brook is not giving us the okay, then that's where we are right now.
Yeah, I mean, and the weird thing about Southbound Brook, So in their tax bill, that includes sewer and garbage pickup. So more that flows through. Remember, Southbound Brook's paying Middlesex County Utilities Authority to treat their flow. So their flow goes up, and they're, maybe they don't think that what we're paying them is covering our flow. I don't know how it is. I don't even know if their flow to MCUA is being monitored accurately. Who knows? They probably don't know either. But what they do know is their sewer bill is going to go up that they pay Middlesex County, where what we're paying them is not going up. It's staying the same according to the agreement. So
that's the issue, basically.
And by the way, I think if I sat down with them, this is a zero net for everybody. This little neighborhood, just because it's so small, the impact. So the only level of this that I really care about is that the developer who's made significant investments already, who, if they don't get their way, I think their options are probably to be appeal their municipal taxes because now they own unbuildable lots, or sue and get a court to compel Southbound Brook to approve. And if they did, I think the authority's position would be not to object. I mean, we don't care.
But they would be they would not pursue suing us because we're not the block.
We would be included in a lawsuit, but we don't have to spend any money to defend ourselves because we don't even care. Let them connect.
Mm-hmm.
What about a third besides Franklin and Southbound Brook? What about someone to mediate the situation, find out what their problem is with all this?
It's really, I don't know if we have any standing. It's really between the developer and Southbound Brook. But yet we are involved because it's an agreement that's based upon Southbound Brook and the authority. It's weird. Remember, if they built 10 lots, it would mean $3,300 a year. It's a drop in the bucket for us for revenue. It's really meaningless. It's a shame we've spent this much time and money on this so far, but I do feel bad for the developer, which I've never met before.
So the property is in Franklin Township, right? So the developer bought the property in Franklin Township, thinking that he could connect the sewer to our sewer, and he's stuck now. Is that accurate?
Right. She's stuck, and she's had correspondence with our past in-house engineer, who really, both of them weren't really reading the context of the other. There was a lot of, there were some emails that went back that were talking about connection standards, construction standards, procedures, escrow, different things like that, as if there was an approval, as if there was a will serve letter issued. But there was an approval and there was no will serve letter. But their emails went back and forth as if there were, which from the developer's perspective, I could see how they would be encouraged to continue to invest. Follow? So, but kind of, rocked the boat a little bit. The developer asked me, well, what about this house on Equator Street that is 2 blocks away that just got approval to connect? So I looked it up. It is true. They did get approval to connect, but that house does not flow into Southbound Brook. That house flows in the other direction to Franklin's system.
Joe, I looked that up. That 421 Equator does flow through Southbound.
Really?
Yeah. It's right at the very end.
So we have to look at that together.
If you look at our GIS, there's a like a red line or something like that on a GIS that depicts the boundaries.
Okay, well, let's look at that together, because then if that's true, then we have to look at who issued that will serve letter. Yeah, I know where that red line boundary is, but that's not, that doesn't delineate what flows into Southbound Brook. You know that. It's within that red line area, yes, but it's not connected to a Southbound Brook line.
It is.
Okay.
The map, what happens is our GIS map system just stops, right? Because we don't continue into Southbound Brook. So you're not seeing the sewer that's in Southbound Brook's area.
Okay, well, let's look at that together. It doesn't change anything. Even if we made a mistake and in violation of the agreement, it wasn't done intentionally. And we're not bound to violate the agreement.
You also mentioned that we spent money on this. What money have we spent so far?
Well, Bernstein's office is the biggest expense, you know, at $1,700 an hour. Only kidding, only kidding. No, you know, but you know, there was many phone calls,
Right.
several memos, meetings we had, prep meetings. You know,
Got it. Got it.
and this will generally continue on until no one wants to build there anymore for one reason or another. You know, I'll do the best I can to minimize our expenses on this and get us through it. And, you know, keep doing what we do. Okay, if no one has anything else, New Brunswick agreement, you know, as you recall last month, I reported we were in a rush. We were not in a rush, but we quickly finalized our draft, and I hand delivered it to the mayor's office in New Brunswick, and they've been sitting on it ever since. We haven't heard a word from them. And frankly, we don't need to hear a word for a while. But hopefully we get a document we can both sign. All right, the COVID sewer monitoring program is at the end. I sent the final data to Mayor Kramer and the County Health Department, Dr. Reddy. They're going to review that and make a recommendation to stop the program or to continue it. So in the meantime, I've stopped it. I'm not doing any more until I hear from them to see if the data is helpful or not. Under standard resolutions, we have all resolutions, all categories of resolution tonight. That's payroll, operating expense account, the general fund, renewal and replacement, the North Track, and escrow. Those are all ordinary business accounts that we have. We have no additional resolutions and no executive session. And to finalize it, I want to ask our operations manager, Scott Nocero, to present his operations report.
Thanks, Jim. I'll give you guys a quick summary. You should all have a copy of the operations report for the month of April. For our pump stations, Prince Islands, during routine work at the pump station, we found a pump one motor controller and overload relay had burnt up. New units were purchased and our staff installed. Rodney Avenue had an issue with the emergency standby generator where the control module was locked in what they call demo mode, would not allow the generator to run in manual mode or emergency run. Technician came out from Onan Cummins. The board was swapped out along with the touch screen, and this was covered under our extended warranty we had when Rodney Avenue was built. During the month, Somerset Street Pump Station needed to go on bypass during 2 rain events. One was for a storm totaling 2.9 inches of rain, and the other one was for just under 1¼ inches of rain. Weston Canal Force Main Phase 3 is complete. Curbing was installed where disturbed at our property at the pump station, as well as our neighboring property at #1 Cottontail Lane, the pharmaceutical building. Following that installation of the curbing, the final pavement was done for their driveway access, as well as pavement in our driveway of the pump station, so that we had safe in and out access and working abilities until until a decision's made on if the station's going to be relocated or not. Some topsoil and seeding was also done at the neighboring property, so happy to say that project is now complete. During the month, our staff flushed and cleaned 60,539 feet of gravity sewer. We are at 57% of our overall goal. I believe Joe reported on Marcy Street. The roofing project is basically complete. We did a final walkthrough last Wednesday and came up with a punch list for the contractor, who's scheduling to come back either late this week, early next week, depending on the weather, to take care of that. The roofs look really, really good. Under our safety, there were no accidents for the month. And during last week on the 28th, we performed three different types of training, refresher training for the guys. That was bloodborne pathogens, lockout, tagout, and HAZCOM, which is formerly known as Right to Know. I believe Will brought up the fact we had 0 connections for the month, and that is correct. And that would be it, unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Scott. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question, but not for Scott. For the executive director. So he mentioned that the budget was late. Why is the budget late?
Well, a couple reasons. You know, our audit is 8-9 months late, right? And that's part, it's tough to put your budget together without your audit. Then we had some financial movement of different accounts with different monies and loans that were up in the air. And it's near impossible to do a budget without understanding where those are going to land. And then we had a project, the High Bay Garage, whose project doubled in size, along with Brookline's project that doubled, not in size, but in cost estimate, right? I mean, it's a cost estimate. So that gave me pause in what to do with the budget. So that's when I brought in our finance people, the bank people, and our financial advisor. I said, hey guys, I'm a little shaky here. I feel more comfortable you all reviewing over my shoulder, and then me sitting down with the financial advisor to say, hey, am I on the right track here? Where am I, where within how wide is my lane that I could travel in? And she agreed with me that, hey, you know what? It's a little risky. Let's start spreading stuff out. Basically, she said, if you do this, then you can do that or not do this. And then if you don't do this, and that's based upon the big if is, what are you going to do with your rates? Your user rates. So, if we don't raise our rates, we can't do much. If we do raise our rates, we could start, continue rehabbing our area and doing projects. So until you knew all that, you really can't put a budget together.
So there's no penalty associated with late submission. Okay.
No, there's no penalty. As a matter of fact, I think the authority is, consistent in when we submit our budget, to say it nicely.
Okay. I was just thinking about some of the rules that we have at the township level. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, Well, the township was late last year. I think I was 1 month late last year. This year will be 2 months late. The year before we were 2 months late. But the only difference is there's one extra step when you're late. You have to do a why you're late resolution.
Okay.
Not why you're late. You have to do I am late resolution.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner. Does anyone else have any further questions? Mr. Executive Director, can you send me the COVID data that we collected? I just would like to review. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be the actual raw data, thanks to CME, who was very gracious in taking the raw data from the labs and putting it into a nice graph analysis. So you see, nice graphics to it. So I'll throw this right to you right now.
Perfect. Thank you. Does anyone else have any further questions? Thank you. Commissioner Barris then has to hop off just for the record. Moving on to committee reports. Is there anything to report from Negotiations and Personnel Committee?
Nothing to report, Chairman.
Thank you. Municipal Liaison, anything to report?
Well, I'd just like to say that we are opening up the youth center. We have our grand opening ceremony on May 14th at 1 p.m. ribbon cutting, and hopefully the executive director will be able to attend.
I wouldn't miss it for the world, Councilwoman. I'm scared to miss it.
So that's good news for the town. It's very good news for the township.
Excellent news.
And the youth.
Yes, it's very exciting. Thank you, Commissioner Francois. Construction Committee, anything to report? Seeing that there is none. Safety Committee, Scott, there's no accidents this month? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. All items that are listed are considered to be of routine nature, thereby requiring one motion and 1 second for all items. If any member wishes to remove any items from the consent agenda, please advise me at this time which resolutions need to be handled separately, and they will be addressed and voted on separately. Let's see if I get these numbers right this month. Payroll account $144,662.16. Operating expense account $2,162,291.84. General fund expense account $5,310.55. Renewal and replacement $23,491.84. Escrow fund account $10,565.25. North Track Crossings $1,382.50. Okay. With that, do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second, Francois.
Would this need a roll call, Brian, or
You can do it by motion.
okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Are there any additional resolutions at this time? Seeing that there are none, do we need to go into executive session?
I have nothing, Chairwoman.
I have nothing, Chairwoman. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Linda second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7:30.
Who was the
Great.
person that
That'll
made,
be
who made the motion for the adjournment? I have Mr. Schmidt second.
Ram
Um,
made the motion.
Thank you.
Good
Good night,
night.
folks. Good night.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
everyone.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.